Hey gang, what's up? So, over the last week, I've been able to get to my local cinema quite a lot, and I've seen a variety of films ranging in quality, age certificate, and genre. I took interest in all of the films I've seen this week, so if you'd like to see me review those in a future Friday video, please let me know in the comments. This week, however, I want to focus on Wonka, the prequel story detailing the life of Willy Wonka as he begins as an ambitious chocolatier before becoming the factory owner we know from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory fame. This spin on a Roald Dahl classic was to me like a Hunger Games situation. It wasn't a story I was particularly searching for, but went in with an open mind to let it be its own creation. Unlike Hunger Games, however, I wasn't the biggest fan of this one. There are a lot of elements about the film I really adored, such as the pacing, cinematography, and visuals, but the musical elements really let things down for me. In this video I want to talk about why that was and my overall thoughts on the film. I love the work of director Paul King, and this is no Paddington in my eyes. Let's get into it. Wonka is a musical feature that expands upon the world of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory 25 years before Charlie gets his golden ticket. Back in 2016, Warner Bros. Studios gained the rights to the property, and production took place during summer 2021 featuring Timothée Chalamet as the titular character. Director Paul King and co-writer Simon Farnaby envisioned the film to be a companion piece to the original 1970s adaptation rather than be a reboot. They saw great potential in Wonka's backstory and so developed new characters along his path of ambition to making his chocolate factory. King intended this to be a family film, so tried to develop themes that were universally understood. Another challenge the film faced on release was its publicity leading to the box office, in that they attempted to hide the musical element in order to boost their sales. The film has been received well by critics, and Timothée Chalamet received a Golden Globe nomination for his efforts. The film was produced by David Heyman, who is associated with the Wizarding World and Paddington IPs, and features songs by Neil Hannon. The film follows Willy on his ambitious adventures to own his own chocolate shop in the Gallery Gourmet after travelling the world building up his chocolate making ingredients. Along the way, he faces trouble with the chocolate cartel, the owners of the biggest chocolate shops in the gallery who wish to silence Wonka's ambitions to remove competition, using their influence on the head of the police to carry out their deeds. Wonka also finds himself meeting Noodle in a workhouse along with a band of other characters where he can develop his skills and humanity. This leads to a side mystery that comes into play in the climax. The film also features Hugh Grant's Oompa Loompa character chasing down Wonka for stealing some of their chocolate in the past, giving this film a lot of well-crafted narratives to push forward its central message and drive. It's a well-paced feature that keeps its energy with a larger cast, giving everyone a scene to shine and be useful throughout the plot. As the plot unfolds, it becomes a fun family heist film that couldn't take my mind off Paul King's previous work on Paddington. These were the moments I enjoyed most thoroughly, whether me enjoying them for their own reasons or nostalgia for his previous work, I don't know. This is a very accessible film that may be a prequel but stand on its own 2 feet. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel but just telling its own disconnected story with subtle references to the original. It wasn't like Solo, a Star Wars story, blatantly trying to shove setup in your face, but incorporates elements with the golden ticket into the narrative seamlessly. As mentioned previously, King wanted to make this accessible to all audiences. An issue with family films that have been on the rise in recent years have been the messaging has been too targeted at younger audiences, isolating everyone else. However, this film manages to find the worldwide message of ambition and hard work. Willy arrives at the gallery with a tunnel vision mindset, ready to work his hardest and his dreams will come true. However, sadly, this isn't the way it always goes, and Willy and the audience must understand this. Yes, in this case we know he'll eventually be successful, as this is a prequel after all, but it's seeing the world can be a harsh environment that means some wishes aren't possible even with constant dedication, practice and ambition. It's an important but not demoralising message that is valuable to a young person trying to find their feet, as well as older viewers who have likely weaved their way through life taking on different and unexpected career and life changes. The central agenda here is to remain positive about whatever may come, rather than narrowing yourself into one direction. During this film, Willy learns this lesson through the involvement and support of his fellow workers who put their strengths together in service of a larger goal. This also highlights the film's perspective on teamwork and trust. In today's society, you simply can't get where you want to be without the support of allies. Friendship is a takeaway that means the same to a 5-year-old child as it does to a grown adult, and this film is able to delicately handle this, presenting the types of people you can and can't trust. Willie is a naive character that is misled on his journey but becomes a greater person because of it, presenting group strength through struggle as a character builder. This cast of characters is vast, so I'll only touch on the ones that made an impact on me. To begin is Willy Wonka himself. Wonka has a believable and easily understood goal throughout the film that reminds me very much of King's portrayal of Paddington as this joyful, chaotic good character that values relationships and can be too trusting at times. He's a great problem solver and seems like a realistic younger take on the character. He has flaws that hinder his adventures, such as the inability to read, but this makes for some funny moments and is a great character builder with the supporting cast. I like that they started the story with him already being a chocolate maker, as this is an essential part of the character we as an audience already know, so don't need to particularly explore why he chose that path and just want to see him develop it further. Next I'll mention Noodle, an original character for this film played by Carla Lane, who looks up to Willie and provides an intelligence he's missing and makes him a delightful pair to watch. Both have strengths and weaknesses as well as contrasting upbringings that allow them to form a connection in the wider field. I found the mystery surrounding Noodle later was predictable, but it was a nice resolution for the character that removes her from Willie's life in the future due to her debuting in this film. Moving on, as there are a lot of characters to cover, there's the Chocolate Cartel, comprised of actors Matt Lucas, Matthew Bainton and Patterson Joseph, all with ridiculous names that I cannot remember for the life of me. There's a lot to love about these three in the way they play off each other and their stylization. However, there isn't too much depth to them and they end up being one-dimensional moustache-twirling villains who make mistakes frequently and are really propelled by their actors' performances rather than the characters themselves. Finally, in this section, before I move on to specific actors' performances, I want to bring up the band of characters that Wonka and Noodle meet in Mrs. Scrubbits'. I can't remember any of their names, even when watching the film, but I appreciate the setup and the utilisation of their previous jobs and information they obtained across the years, although some of the exposition with them was a bit heavy at points. They reminded me of the Brown family during the climax of Paddington, in the way that their jobs all played into the heist. This is a plot style that King uses frequently as it paces the film well, while sharing responsibility out between the group rather than an unrealistically over-important character. Now that I've looked at certain characters, there are other actors that feature in this film that I'd rather look at their performances. Beginning with Wonka. I'm gonna be controversial here and say that as soon as Timothée Chalamet was announced to be playing this part, I wasn't on board. Chalamet has already proved to me that he is an up-and-coming actor that deserves projects like this, but from reading the books on repeat as a child and watching the previous Chocolate Factory films, I didn't feel like he was the right casting to channel the craziness of this character. When he's acting naive and fairly human in the role, I really enjoy his performance. It's then the otherworldliness that I don't buy, as I see him as this grounded figure. I respect him for taking on the singing and dancing, as this is something he's trained in when he was younger, but hasn't yet brought to the screens. Overall, Chalamet just wasn't Willy Wonka to me. I can't move on without acknowledging Academy Award winner and one of my favourite actresses, Olivia Colman. I love the wickedness that she brings to Mrs. Scrubbit. Colman continues to surprise me with the range she can pull off flawlessly, from The Favourite to Fleabag to Empire of Light and so on. She deserves the praise she receives and turns Mrs. Scrubbit into a more influential character than the script would let on. I can't wait to see her in Paddington in Peru, but I'm slightly worried about that film as Paul King is not the director this time round due to scheduling conflict. We'll definitely be reviewing that one later this year. And finally, Hugh Grant isn't an actor that I'd usually watch due to the similarity of every role he plays. I found him refreshing in Paddington 2, yes I know with the Paddington references, but it was nice to see him play a villain, which I've not seen him do before. What I didn't expect to say is actually I would have liked to see him more in this film. I thought the Oompa Loompa was going to be more integral, and his conclusion is the only one that I would have liked more clarity on in helping Willie start his factory. I understand that behind the scenes, Grant had several issues with motion capture and became frustrated that a lot of the character was CGI apart from his face. The final proportions of this character seemed a little off for me, but the general design and costuming looked fantastic. Much like the Snow White situation, I'm also aware that various actors with dwarfism felt offended by Grant's casting in the role as it was taking opportunities away from others. Overall, Grant did a good job with the uncomfortable situation, though I do agree with some of these other claims, especially seeing as how they cast the Oompa Loompas in the original. I briefly want to touch on the production value, as I found the film a joy to watch in this sense. The film was shot mainly in the UK at Leavesden Studios, with vast practical sets as well as obvious mountains of CGI to achieve the final product. What I did find incredible alongside the set and costume design to suit the fantasy 1940s look was that each of the chocolates were actually real and handcrafted to add to the authenticity of Wonka's work. Overall, there were over 2,000 chocolates made in 400 different types. Now that's impressive. A lot of the larger set pieces in the chocolate shop were also glazed in chocolate to give it that overall aesthetic. I respect the dedication to this craft as it is an integral point of this film. Lots of chocolate in a film about a chocolate maker? Amazing. Now, an area of the film I wasn't the biggest fan of was the original music. I generally found the songs unnecessary and distracting from the main film. The songs themselves were decently crafted, but I found that the lyrics were quite surface level and none of them really stuck in my head after leaving. I take that back. The It's Chocolate one seems to be doing the rounds on TikTok as a new meme, so if they were trying to make memes, they've done a good job. The dance and music sequences during the film were visually interesting for the most part, but there wasn't much I gained through the progress of the story in these songs. I understand why this took a musical direction due to the original film. So another feature that I enjoyed for the just under 2-hour runtime that it was, but not one I think I'll be revisiting. I appreciate the work of director Paul King, and I'm glad that this film has done decently at the box office for what it is. King has an excellent grasp for managing vast casts, along with small additive character arcs. Chalamet is an excellent performer, who I really hope will have a successful career going forward. We'll see how Dune Part 2 is. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first one, but we'll probably review both of those in the next few months. And as a musician myself, I just want to hear a musical movie, get it right and really pace the film with its music well, like a proper stage production. La La Land hit that one on the head. I'm only really being picky about that because that's what these video essays are all about, right? Let's give it a 7 out of 10 for its cast, director, cinematography and world building. The music slightly lets it down though. If you need a family film to lift your spirits, this one will do the job. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm nearly at my first milestone of 100 subscribers, so if you enjoyed my content, please join, it'll be much appreciated. I'm trying to push myself out on various social media platforms at the moment, so if you want to pass me on to a friend or so, please consider doing it. I want to spread my word and see if I can build up some level of internet use, I guess. Should be back with another video essay next Friday, if my schedule allows, and maybe I'll be releasing some other content throughout the week to try out a few different things. Hopefully we'll see you next week, but in the meantime, please check out what else is on this channel, and have a great week. Goodbye.